Okay, if you are ready to hear about an alien invasion, this is the place. We're going to talk all about the different aliens that I met in Roswell, New Mexico. Well, not really, but I am going to talk about how I went to Roswell, New Mexico after I left Sedona, which is where I stopped off on episode 2. So this is episode 3. So I'm super excited to talk about it today because Roswell was super, super fun. Like, I had an amazing time there, a great time there. I think I had a little bit more fun there than I did in Sedona. So let's get into it. But before I do, just want to take a reminder here and ask for you to please hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And also, if you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to get a session to learn about where your soul origin is from, what kind of alien you were in a past life, or just what kind of human you were in a past life. I have all that linked below, as well as some freebies, a third eye activation meditation. Maybe you want to become psychic, right? You want to start doing your own readings, or you're getting your own intuitive hits about your life. Everyone has these abilities. It's not just a special gift that a few have. And I do have a meditation linked below. It's completely free that can help you activate your third eye. So make sure to go and click on that. And if you're like me and you love stickers, I also have some Starseed sticker printables below. So make sure to check those out. Okay, so I hadn't been to Roswell, and I calculated it was like 18 years. Like, it's been a long time since I went to Roswell, and I actually went twice. Like, I went once in like maybe middle school or early high school, and then I went the summer after I graduated high school. So based off of that, you can probably figure out how old I am. But it is way better than the last time I went there. Like, they have really upgraded a lot. Like, even the UFO museum, you go in, like, they have way more like cool like displays, and they have this whole like alien like UFO with these like alien statues around it, and they do like these little shows, like kind of if you ever went to the Rainforest Cafe back in the day, and they'd have like the storm and like the fog and stuff like that. Like, it's kind of like that, but like alien themed. And then they actually have their own little like virtual reality thing in the Alien Museum that you go into. So it's so cool. And they also have, and they may have had this when I was younger, but like I didn't go into it, but they have like archives of all these like newspaper clippings and articles, like different books related to the Roswell incident, like a library, like a research library. Actually, at the UFO museum, you can go around, and like if you buy a ticket to the UFO museum, you can go into all this documentation and basically like just sit there all day and read through it if you wanted to, like these old newspaper clippings and stuff like that. So it was definitely way upgraded since the last time I was there. And then they had like new stuff too. Like, they had this whole like virtual reality place you could go to, where they had like half of this, like this business is like this. You go and you do a virtual reality where you basically live through the story of Roswell from the aliens perspective. Or you can do, they have one with like NASA and the moon landing, and I didn't watch that one, so I don't know. But they have that's like half of the building. And then they also have like this whole like Lego setup too, which I talked a little bit about at the end of episode 2. But that wasn't part of that. Was like there was like a little town that was getting invaded by aliens, and they have this like really cool, really big Lego UFO. I think it's like one of the biggest in the world. Don't quote me on that, but they have that. And then just like a little Christmas town set up. The famous painting, I think it's the Last Supper. They have a huge thing of that made out of Legos, and then just multiple other displays. And they also have a place in the back you can like play with Legos. So it's just like so many fun things like that in Roswell that like didn't exist, weren't there when I went, a few years ago. And Roswell has just really taken this like alien theme like very seriously, and basically made it their entire personality. Like, there is literally alien stuff everywhere. Like, in front of the gas station, there's like a statue of an alien. In front of like the coffee shop, there's like a statue of an alien, or a cardboard cutout of an alien. And there's alien art everywhere. And like when you enter the town, there's like this sign that says like welcome to Roswell, and it has like a little UFO like at the top. Like, it's just like everything in Roswell is about aliens. Like, it is insane. And it's also very similar. Like, the only other place that I've seen do this is Salem, Massachusetts, with like the witchy stuff where everything's kind of like witchy themed, right? That's like Salem's personality. Like Roswell's personality is like now aliens. And even their like official city sign that's like on their water tower and like on their like police cars has, it's like a giant R with like where the hole in the R is a UFO. So they've just gone above and beyond. And obviously, I had to go there. I love it. Like, I talk a lot about aliens and galactic past lives in my work. So it made sense for me to go there. And it was so much fun. And I loved it. But I do think that if I lived in Roswell full time, I might get a little sick of seeing aliens everywhere. Just saying. Just saying. So, one of the funnest parts of being in Roswell was going on the Roswell UFO tour. And it's actually in this same part of the same business I mentioned earlier that does the virtual reality and the Legos. They also do like the official like Roswell UFO tour. And it's really cool because the guy that does the tour, my guess is that he also owns like the business with the virtual reality and the Legos. Like I guess my guess is that he does, like he owns all of it, but I'm not 100% on that. But he's actually a UFO researcher. And he has made this tour based off him going out, doing his own research. He's talked to a lot of the people who were around during the incident, or some of the family members of those people. So he's really kind of like an investigator, reporter. Like he's gone out and gotten the information himself. Like he even during the tour, like he has videos of him like talking to some of the family members of the people directly involved in the Roswell incidents. And I guess I should go back. If you guys don't know what happened in Roswell, in 1947, there was supposedly, allegedly, some type of UFO crash. They talk about them being like 4 feet tall, like little aliens with like big eyes. And so based off of that, that's typically like how like gray aliens are described, because while there's all different types of gray aliens, like there are some known to be like very small with big eyes and gray skin. And then there's also at the Roswell incidents, there was talk about how it was an actual UFO that crashed like a disc, right? And those, according to like channelings by different galactic historians, the only, or the two main space races that use UFOs are the Greys and the Pleiadians, right? We think of like all aliens having UFOs, but really it's only like certain alien races that are going to like actually have UFOs, as opposed to like they may have ships that look totally different, right? And so anyway, back to the tour, this guy, he also has like all these props in his car. Like he'll go and get like, when there's an estate sale of someone who was involved in like the, alien side, like the sheriff that was involved is just an example. Like he'll go in like to the estate sale and get something out of his house, like buy something. Right. And so he has all this stuff like in his car. He has like these like the actual newspapers that went out during Roswell. He has like those printed, like that show the actual articles you can like look at. And he has them printed big like a newspaper. Like it's like you're reading the newspaper. And then he has like these iPads where you can like click and get all this information about the different players in the Roswell, like cover up. I'm doing air quotes, right? I don't have a video feed on this, but like cover up, right? And he has been in the neighborhood for a while, so he like knows people. So if he's driving by and you drive through the town of Roswell on this tour and he's telling you, okay, this happened here, like supposedly like, the alien, the person who saw the alien crash and like was involved in the player in this story, like they live at this house. And so if the people who currently live in the house are outside, he'll be like, hey, like, can we go inside? Which did not happen on my tour, but he did talk about it, quite a bit. And I think the thing that really got me is that I had gone to the UFO museum earlier, and they talk about that what was found at the UFO site, like before like the official like military or police or any type of authorities got there were like ranchers or just like civilian type of people who, got out to the crash site first. And they described this silver material that it kind of looked, It was thin, kind of like, like foil would be. But it was indestructible. And if you bent it, it would like bounce right back. And you couldn't like puncture it or like hit it. Like it was just very, very strong. And that's like a big thing that they talk about. And then, right, the cover up story, again, air quotes, is that it was part of a weather balloon. And if you look at weather balloons from the 1940s, like they can have this thing at the bottom that does look like some type of like silver material. And so that's how he starts the tour, is that he has this big sheet of silver material, and he comes out and he's like, here we go. Here's the UFO, material that they found, right? It's like silver, here it is. And then he's like, okay, just kidding, right? So it's kind of funny, but it's very like hands-on, if that makes sense. And I thought it was crazy because the tour guide told me that, or he told our whole tour group, he was like, I've never actually been on a tour. He's never been on like a tour for, you always go to different cities and go on tours of different, places and historical events and things like that. And he's never been on one. And I'm like, that's crazy, because like all these extra kind of things he does to make the tour special, I'm like, it's really way better than a lot of other tours, because a lot of tours you get people who they may or may not have an interest like in what they're showing, and sometimes they just need a job. But this guy, I mean, he really was all about it. And I think that's what made the tour like so special. It was also really fun because it was me and two other ladies from Canada. Actually, they had driven there from Canada, and I had driven there from LA, right? So it was cool. They were just so funny. They were just so funny, and we were just going back and forth. So I think that made the tour really special as well. So the tour is kind of set up to kind of allude to or talk about how this is like a cover up by the government, right? That there really were aliens that crashed in Roswell in 1947, and that it's a government cover up, right? And that's what's going to be spicy. That's the fun. Like no one would want to go on an alien tour if it wasn't, kind of set up that way. But it's funny because about midway through the tour, I really start to like kind of suspect and realize that this guy leading the tour, who's this big UFO researcher, and has set up this, this whole immaculate tour, that he's so into the storytelling and everything. I don't know if he actually believes in aliens. Like, I think he maybe thinks it's not really aliens, right? And it's something else. And it's interesting because and we'll talk more about this later, but it's like, it could be something else, right? It could be that like the government was doing some experiments or testing some type of weapons or something like that they don't want the general public to know about. And I definitely think that's possible. But, the fun part of it is saying like, hey, it could be aliens, right? And I found this out because he was talking about how he wants to ask this guy who there might be something behind a hidden wall, like documents talking about the incidents at Roswell, if he can like knock down part of his wall in his house to look for these documents. And I said, well, hey, if you do, you have to contact Stephen Greer, which, if you guys don't know, like Stephen Greer is like a really, I guess like well-known, like UFO alien researcher, right? And he definitely is like advocating for aliens being real. He has a pretty big platform. Like, he was interviewed by Khloe Kardashian. So he's out there in the public, and I mean, even to some extent, the mainstream, right? And so when I told the tour guide, made that comment about contacting Stephen Greer if he found something, he's like, oh no, that's going in the wrong direction that I would want to go in. He's like, and don't worry, I have my own networks. And I was like, okay, well, like, what does he have against, Stephen Greer? And so it was interesting because we keep going on the tour, and it's really good. How long did it last? Like, was it like I think it's like 2-hour tour. And so he's taking us to all these different sites, and he even does a little like bonus part where we go to like the Roswell airport, which you still can fly in and out of commercially. And oh my gosh, there were like the creepiest airplanes. And I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but like an airplane that is out of service and can't fly, and like and it's been like gutted, or like the seats are taken out, and half the floor is gone. Like, when you see it sitting there, there is something so eerie and creepy about it, and I don't know what it is, but just an airplane that can't fly and is just sitting there is so weird and creepy. And there were so many of them at the Roswell airport because, like, apparently they store a lot of airplanes that are out of commission there, which they're either like used for parts and then like eventually like crushed, right? Or sometimes like a buyer will buy them and put them into commission again. So there were a ton of these in Roswell. That's where they store them. And so we saw a ton of them. I don't know. They just give me the heebie jeebies for some reason. So after the airport, we're pretty much getting to the end of the tour. And he keeps trying to the tour guide keeps trying to allude to the fact that maybe no one wants to admit that it really was a hot air balloon, Even after all of this really good evidence that he's flipped in the tour otherwise, he keeps kind of saying maybe no one really wants to just say hey, it really was just a hot air balloon and that's all it was, and there's not aliens, right? And it kind of makes me think maybe that's what he thinks. And he made this comment about how some people think that alien disclosure is the end all, be all, and it's the most important thing, but he wants to focus more on the people, the stories, surrounding the Roswell incidents, and how we treat each other is the most important thing, and the people and that kind of thing. And I don't disagree with that way of thinking at all, but I also do think that alien disclosure is extremely important, and I'm going to talk through the reason around that, right? Because I think that once we know what's been going on the planet now, currently, behind the scenes, I think once we know that and we see that and we understand we're not alone on this planet, it's gonna unravel a lot of things. It's gonna unravel a lot of the things that the government has been doing, right? Because people will always be it's not aliens, it's Russia, it's China, it's whoever, whatever other country doing stuff. And I'm it very well could be them, but it's also aliens. There are aliens in those countries, there are aliens in the United States, there are aliens everywhere on the planet, and they're kind of the ones driving this stuff that the government is doing. It's not that it's okay, is it the government testing stuff, doing stuff, or is it aliens? It's okay, literally, it's both. And I think that once extraterrestrial life is truly disclosed, to the fact that to the extent that all of society knows it, because we already have a lot of disclosure happening. We have, I mean, there was a government official in Israel, I believe, who was saying on television that aliens exist. We've had congressional hearings about UAPs and putting controls in place surrounding the reporting of UAPs. And then the current president, Trump, he alludes to it all the time in the stuff he's saying. He's always referring to they're doing this, they're doing that, they're controlling the weather. It's okay, who is controlling the weather? So I think that it's gonna unravel a lot of the stuff that has been happening on the planet, being done in secret, right? These systems that hurt us, these things that are happening. But I also think it's going to put in perspective spirituality a lot, because right now most people on the planet have been following religion, right? That's kind of all they've been taught or all they've known. But I think we're moving towards really understanding how spirituality actually is, and understanding it from a different perspective of not my religion versus your religion, my God versus your God, but really understanding spirituality at a higher level of consciousness, right? And understanding, how to connect to our soul, right? How to remember who we are, right? And even being able to kind of understand the soul's journey and the path of reincarnation, which some religions currently believe in, some do not, right? But I think that alien disclosure is going to lead to a lot of changes within spirituality, structurally, and religion, right? Because when these higher consciousness beings who are aware of what's going on in the galaxy, and they're not just kind of in soul amnesia or not aware of what's going on like humans, are coming to Earth, and they're able to talk about, ascended masters like Jesus, Yeshua is what he's referred to in the spiritual community, like Buddha, right? Like Mary Magdalene, and they're able to speak through him from a different perspective. And it's not through a religious perspective, and it's not through, okay, there's only one path to God, right? Like when it's open and they're able to talk about, how their like spiritual practices are and how they use sound frequency, right? And how they use energy healing and things like that, like in combination with like technical technology. And then I think just our going up in a higher consciousness will be important too. But I think when the aliens come down and they're able to reveal all of this and reveal very advanced technology and see how our Earth technology stacks up against it, which I don't even think our Earth technology is that bad. I think it's just going to be a very key, very important part of disclosure. So I think that's why so many people stake so much on alien disclosure. It's already happening. Like, it's funny because the Roswell thing, I'm like, I don't even know if that matters that much anymore. It's not going to be in the make it or break it or in disclosure. Like, if you get on the online, like all this other stuff is out there, right? Like you cannot get online without seeing some celebrity that's like a clone, right? Or, see stuff about, like chemtrails, things like that, right? So it's like there is so much online that I don't think Roswell is going to be the make it or break it anymore, right? And it's crazy because like if you go through the history of Roswell, I mean, I think it was like 30 plus years. People really just believed it was a weather balloon, right? But it's like now and I think it was in the 80s or the 90s when like the alien stuff and them kind of revisiting it happens. But like now it's just constantly so much stuff. Even if you're not spiritual, even if you're not into conspiracy theories, like so many more people are questioning. So I think the Roswell stuff is cool, but I really don't think it's like the thing that's going to be like the biggest part of disclosure, right? But then the other comment that the tour guide made that I want to talk about is he said that like something about how, a lot of people would think he spent so much time devoting his life to like UFO research. And he was like, well, maybe I have, but he kind of implied like there were other things in his life that were important too. And I personally could relate to that comment so much because people on my Instagram have like left me comments that's like, it's going to be so sad when you find out aliens aren't real and you've wasted your entire life, thinking about them and looking at them, and it's so interesting because I think talking about aliens and galactic history is so exciting, right? Like when I was spiritually awakening, it was like the coolest thing out of it. It's like, oh, you mean after this lifetime I get to go be an alien if I want to? Like I get to go be a character in Star Wars? Like the thought of heaven and hell isn't actually what's going to happen to me. Like I get to go be an alien? Like how cool. Like that was my experience. But there's so many interesting spiritual practices out there, and I try to bring a lot of them into my content. Like they're in my life for sure, but I do tend to focus more on aliens and my content. And that's because my services are surrounding aliens, right? So I'm trying to make my content around my services a lot of the time, right? And I'm trying to make my content more broad and talk about like the other stuff that I care about when it comes to spirituality. But kind of going back to people leaving that stuff on my Instagram, it's so interesting because it's like, that's not really true because number one, I have not really devoted my whole, life to that. Like I've only even known about this stuff like maybe 3 years. Like I spiritually awakened just a few years ago and my clairsenses came on really fast, like my psychic abilities. because I've been a channel on Earth before, like my soul has. So I know how to do it, right? And it's not because I'm gifted or I'm better than anyone else. It's because I literally already had a lifetime doing this, right? And so most people have skills, things they're really good at, or certain wisdoms that they have, right? And it's not just because they're talented or gifted. Like, yes, obviously, as a human, they're talented, gifted, good at something, right? But it's also because their soul has already had lifetimes where they spent the entire lifetime learning how to do it. And so that's why it's like considered a, like, again, air quote, gift in this lifetime, is because they already know how to do it, right? And this is especially pertinent to psychic abilities, right? Because we all, like, some of us have like higher clairvoyance where we're seeing things visually. Some of us have higher clairaudience where we're hearing things visually. Some of us have higher clairsentience when we're feeling things. And then some of us have higher claircognizance where we're knowing things, right? And so these are, if you have a really strong one, it's because you have really spent time developing that in previous lifetimes, right? And so I just wanted to note that. But it's interesting because it's like I haven't been doing this stuff my entire life, and I had a whole other career before this that was related to something totally different. And I have all these passions and hobbies and things in my life that I like to do. Like, I like making certain art and crafting. I love going to music concerts. I love traveling and exploring. I love decorating for the holidays. Like, I love a good Christmas decoration, right? And so I think it's so interesting that people online are telling me I'm like wasting my life talking about aliens. And I'm like, if disclosure doesn't happen in my lifetime, like, it really actually wouldn't affect me that much. Like, I'd be sad because I want it to happen, but it's like, to me, the proof's already there. It's like we can already like see it. Just in a lot of the stuff that like just doesn't add up and doesn't make sense, right? And a lot of stuff is just being revealed. But I just find these types of comments so interesting. But I definitely could relate to the UFO tour guide when he's talking about this. And I'm sure he's got lots of other things in his life going on, whether it's his friendship, family, his hobbies, other interests, other aspects of his life. And I think people are just very quick to like point at you and just like put you into a box and look at you one way, when really, like, we're all very like diverse humans, and part of that is because our soul is so infinite and we've had so many past lives and other experiences. So we bring this, into this lifetime, and we have so many parts of ourselves, right, that are from those different aspects of our souls, those different past lives, right? And so to just say that one person is, one thing and focus on one thing and that thing is a waste of time, I think is a bit like narrow. It's a bit narrow, I think, narrow-minded. So, but yeah, that was a UFO tour. And it was really cool. I definitely recommend it if you're in Roswell, going and checking it out. Also, the virtual reality thing is really cool, and the Legos are really cool too. And way too many, way too many alien themed gift shops. Definitely recommend going to the Dunkin' Donuts in town and getting an alien themed donut. Yes, I had one. Yes, it was amazing. It had some like bright green, like neon green filling in it. I don't know what flavor it was, but it was really, really good. And Roswell was just so much fun. Like, I just had so much fun doing that. One thing I did that was really cool is I actually drove to Santa Fe, and it is 3 hours from Roswell to Santa Fe, but I wanted to do the Meow Wolf exhibit, and it is so cool. Like, it was worth driving. I drove 6 hours total to get to Roswell, Santa Fe. I was probably at the Meow Wolf art exhibit like 3 hours total, like walking through the exhibit, eating lunch, and I probably shopped for about 15 minutes in their little gift shop that they had afterwards. But it was worth that drive, because it is so cool. And like, it kind of has like a spiritual, kind of like sciencey, esoteric theme to it. I don't know about the other ones, but the one in Santa Fe definitely does. But really cool immersive art installation. And you actually like you had to kind of like crawl or like shimmy or like walk up like tiny stairs or ladders and things like that. Like it was very like immersive and interactive. It was really cool. Really cool. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Definitely kind of like a highlight of my trip to Roswell, actually. But so like I mentioned, it was a 3 hour drive. So leaving Roswell and going to Santa Fe, I actually unexpectedly got the hit about my like going to Seattle and how I was going to get to Seattle, because up to that time, like I knew that after Thanksgiving, like, okay, I need to make my way to Seattle. The biggest reason why is that I want to get my car up to Seattle like prior to the new year, because the weather in the beginning of December or like mid December is still like okay, like it's starting to get cold, but like you hit like Christmas, like the last week of December, New Year's Eve, January, and then February, and it's like winter, right? That's when you get like the actual like snow and you get a lot of storms. Like last year, I did travel some in January, and it was like miserable having to like watch and see if I was going to even be able to drive on the roads. Are they going to be icy? And like I had a couple of trips where it's like I had to go late and like cut my trip like short, because it's like I literally couldn't drive there because of the weather. And so I've just been like, I have to get my car up to Seattle in December so I can at least move there, and then like I can fly back for the holidays. But I cannot like wait until after Christmas, because it's going to be hard to get up there. And then it's like, I don't want to have to delay my move to Seattle until, like March. And so my plan is that when I had left LA, I put a bunch of my stuff in a storage unit in Los Angeles. So my plan has always been to, after Thanksgiving, to go back to LA, like package my stuff up and like mail it to Seattle. But then it's like, okay, well, I've got to get like an apartment with like an actual address I can mail stuff to. And it's like, either I have to like rent a room in someone's apartment and then like ask them if I can mail stuff to their apartment, or their home or whatever they live in, or I can like mail it to a UPS. Or like I would have to get like a lease and like sign without seeing the place, which I've never done before, but I mean, maybe. So that was always my plan. And then I was going to go to like Disney again. And I've been to Disney like so many times this year. But I was like, oh, I'll go to Christmas at Disney, because the Disneyland, they do like holiday overlays on their ride. They do a Christmas overlay on It's a Small World, and then on the Haunted Mansion, where it's like Christmas themed. So I was like, oh, I could go and do that. And I had this whole plan, but I think it was kind of nagging at me, because I was like, it's so expensive to go to Disney. And I was like, I've already been so many times this year. Do I want to buy another like $200 ticket? And then I always spend a lot of money on food in the park. You got to pay for parking. I'd be going by myself, so I wouldn't have someone to split the parking with. And I just was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. So I was driving to Santa Fe, and I got this intuitive download, this hit. I like to say I got this hit, that, I just need to go straight up to Seattle from my home, my parents' home in Texas. Oh, after Thanksgiving, just leave and start making the trek up to Seattle. Don't go back to LA and get my stuff. Um, and it's weird, because it's like I just felt so much relief. I was like, hey, like that sounds fun. Like I can do more traveling in December and then get up to Seattle, be up there, have my car up there, fly back home to Texas for Christmas, and then it'll just be like, it just sounded so good. And like once I'm up there, like I can like start looking for like longer term apartments, right? And it's interesting, because I was like, just get an Airbnb for December and January, right? Because I guess wherever, because like I believe that like we're contracted, or we're supposed to go to certain places to live, like certain apartments, for the most part, not 100%. So I just felt like, I'm like, maybe where I'm supposed to be isn't ready yet, or isn't open yet. Like maybe someone else is living there or something like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to get an Airbnb for December and January, and I'm just going to drive up to Seattle in December. And so Like that night, I put in a request for an Airbnb in December and January, and I did get confirmed for it, so I'm excited. And I've been booking all my Airbnbs. I'm gonna be going from Texas to Denver, then through Wyoming and Idaho, and then I'm gonna spend some time in Portland. And when I mean spend some time, like these places, I'm all staying like 1 to 2, maybe 3 days. And then I'm gonna go up to Seattle. So I've been working on that, and I'm super excited. But it's kind of weird because it's like I only know where I'll be till the end of January, and I've had to get kind of comfortable with that and just knowing like, okay, I know my next move, my next stop right now. After that, I don't know. And I wasn't like that for a long time. Like for a long time, I needed to kind of have things planned out and kind of more security, know like, okay, I'm going to be here for a year and I have my lease and everything is good. Right now, I'm just kind of more like living in flow, which has been a huge change for me. It's been a huge change for me over the past like year or so, really, maybe year and a half. So yeah, so that is where I am at. So that was my time in Roswell. I hope you enjoyed it. There was no actual alien invasion there. Alien invasion happened a long time ago, and they've been living amongst us, and technically the majority of humans on this earth have an intergalactic soul that's been aliens many times. So I often like to say like, hey, we're actually all kind of aliens too. Like we're in a human body and we're connected to earth and we have that earth experience. But our soul, for the most part, the majority of humans, our souls are not from here. So we're kind of the aliens too. So yeah. So this is where I'm gonna kind of leave everyone. And I guess before I conclude, I'll say I am in Marfa, Texas. Probably one of my favorite places in the United States. And I've been traveling all over. There's just nowhere like Marfa. Like it is so interesting because it was this town that small town but not teeny tiny, very close to the border of Mexico in Texas. And like in the I don't know, like 40s, 50s, 60s, it was military operations were here. And they pulled out, I guess sometimes in the 60s maybe, and the town kind of just became kind of like a ghost town. Like people kept leaving, there weren't jobs or reasons to stay. And then an artist, Donald Judd from New York City, came in and started buying a lot of the buildings and making them into art installations. And so this town is crazy because you're like walking around downtown and there's local businesses, there's lots of shopping, restaurants, and then other businesses like insurance agencies or that type of business. But then like a lot of these buildings are just like art installations that are downtown. Like you just walk in and they're like an art studio or like an art gallery, right? And it's like it's a pretty small like downtown district. And so that's just like a lot of it is not actual like businesses, it's like art. And it's crazy because it is truly one of the few places I've been in the United States that is truly like remote that you can go and stay. I believe the closest airport is 3 hours away. And like the grocery stores, there's one grocery store and then a Dollar General. And I believe they close at like 9 p.m. There's maybe one bar that's open, and then a lot of stuff has very limited hours. Like it's like 3 or 4 days a week things are open, and it's like, I mean, some stuff is like 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., but a lot of stuff is like 11 to 3, like 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So this is very limited hours, and so it's just like, it's so different, but so magical. Like, because I'm like a big city person, and the fact I love Martha so much, like, it is just crazy magical. I don't know. The energy here, and then there's so many like desert art installations. So if you like going out the desert and just seeing like a giant art installation, like you would love Marfa. And if you've ever seen like the Prada store in the middle of the desert, that's Marfa. And I think that's kind of the art installation that really put them on the map, is when videos of that started going viral. And I think like because it's these like artists from New York, like I think more artists have come now. It's like there's really trendy, like cool restaurants. Like I went to a restaurant today that it's like there's all these like cassettes on the wall and stuff and like cool decorations, and it's just like it's a small town but it's like artsy and trendy, and then the land is magical. The land is pure magic. And there's so many cool like hotels and Airbnbs. Like the one I'm staying in is made out of like a shipping container. You know, like that kind of artsy stuff. And we're seeing those types of Airbnbs like all across the United States. Like don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of like really cool ones here. So Marfa might be one of my favorite places in the United States. Um Definitely my favorite place in Texas, but doesn't even, well, I guess it kind of feels like Texas. It's got a little Western cowboy feel to it. I will say that. And I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, is where my alma mater is. And in my Airbnb are some, if you know, the mascot for UT is Bevo, the Longhorn. They have some of his horns on the wall, which is cool. But then also the name of because like each, in the little like hotel thing that I'm staying at, like each of the little like places you can rent has its own name. It's named Waco, which is where Baylor is at. And I don't even know if I know what Baylor's mascot is. Is it like a chipmunk or something? I don't know. Sorry for all the Baylor grads listening to this, but if any of you guys are listening to it. But yeah, I was like, why isn't it called like Austin or Bevo or something? I don't know. It was weird. But it doesn't matter. I love it. Kind of got that tiny home feel. But yeah, so I'm in Marfa, and like I'm actually recording this at night because my days are so packed. I did 2 art installation tours today. Um, and then I went out to like eat lunch, and then they had one of the art installations like open where you could just go in the building and you could draw or read. And so I brought my planner and my stickers and I made sticker art, like collage sticker art in this like fancy art place. And it was, I don't know, it was so nice. So I just like was like boom, 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 boom all day. And then tomorrow, same thing. Oh, I also went and worked at a coffee shop this morning as well. So that's what I was like, look, like I got to make the most of my time in Marfa. I'm only here for like 2.5 days. So that's why I was like, I gotta just go ahead and record this podcast at night. So I'm gonna leave Marfa and then I'm heading back to East Texas. So I'll have one more night in Abilene, Texas, which I've never been to. I've heard a lot about it. So it's gonna be a one-nighter there. So I'll probably just drive around the town and not really do much. And then I'll be home for Thanksgiving. So that'll be fun. And then after Thanksgiving is when I'll start my trek up to Seattle. So if you are still listening, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I mentioned below, if you do want to work with me one-on-one, if you want to go into your soul purpose for this lifetime, understand why you're on the planet and why your soul wanted to be here, and also what kind of alien does your soul like to be? You know, because we're all human right now, but in our past lives, we were all different types of aliens. Definitely, book a soul origin and life purpose reading with me. I have that linked below. I have a ton of other sessions. I do a lot of energy work and light language in the Galactic Portal Chamber. I do everything from financial abundance attunements to third eye activations in the chamber. So if you're interested in that, I also have that linked below, listing of all the sessions that I offer. And then I also have some freebies too. So that third eye activation meditation that I mentioned is also linked below. And for that one, it's interesting. It's only like 8 minutes long. So it's a really quick one, which is really nice because you can just kind of do it on your break in the middle of the day. And you can actually do it multiple times. And I've done it multiple times. And I always kind of get like different downloads or intuitive hits when I'm doing it. So definitely like if you're looking for a meditation that'll help you open up your intuition and your third eye, but you're really busy, you don't have a lot of time, I mean, I definitely would suggest this one because it's literally only 8 minutes long. Like you could do it right before you go to sleep. So I have that linked below as well as my free Starseed sticker printables. So please check those out if you haven't already. And yeah, and also don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I will see you next time. All right, happy Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrate and are not in Canada where I believe they've already had Thanksgiving. And then stay safe, star seeds.